how it is used locally. I mean, cooperation between the governments in the field of supporting digital transformation. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to thank for this opportunity to get involved with your event. Indeed, it's a good tradition visiting PDF Ukraine, not only PDF Ukraine, also PDF Europe, and also having the opportunity to speak on this forum. As it was mentioned by Vadim before, the ministry is as old as 1 year, and this year became very interesting for our cooperation, and in particular, all those challenges faced due to quarantine and pandemic. This confirms that digital transformation is not just a fashionable innovation. This is also even underlines the priority of that sphere for development, both on the national level and regional level. I would like to focus on several moments of our cooperation with the ministry. Of course, it's not new. E-governance, smart city in every city of Ukraine, in particular, the larger cities have been developed for quite a while. Every city is on its own level of development, placing the particular priorities in particular projects. And we have certain competition who implements faster and whether the mayor is more or less popular among the inhabitants due to that. And the role of central government and the ministry in that field is being a coordinator and moderator of that process. Vadim also mentioned the program of regional digitalization which has been created also by representatives of the cities or municipalities. Everybody has an expertise in the particular field, and jointly we can create a framework, a program, a framework strategy. Within it, one can keep moving and develop further. In spite of representing our cities and our local governments, we can see there are IT services which are necessary for the inhabitants, which are interregional, which requires our joint coordination and cooperation and relevance also on the technical level. We have to think on how to create convenient service for the inhabitants of our city, also with a prospect of how one can cooperate with other services. An important role will be played by the deputy mayors responsible for digital transformation, deputy chairman of this administration responsible for digital development. We didn't find such a candidate in Lviv Oblast so far, but we hope we can soon do so. We are inquiring among our friends. I believe that cities in the future will just use the best practices rather than proliferating digital systems with no purpose. Also, the ministry can play the role as a trend setter in the field of public services. For example, there can be a public service, and yet e-baby or data exchange about the place of residency registration. It's a public, it belongs to the government, yet it cannot be implemented with no municipalities and with no local governments involved. This, of course, requires a liaison of information systems, and we have to answer the demand. We need to adopt our information systems, change them accordingly, and regulate the processes of the information systems and local governments. Another example of tone setting By creating the launching the mobile application, the ministry has set up the standard for the government level. And we can hear from our residents, why don't they do it like DIA or something like that? From the perspective of user experiences and also from the perspective of the pattern of the process, because everything should be quick and fast for the residents. This became another confirmation that one has to improve our services, the product we are providing for the uh, users, and that process continues, and also the website, which will allow the residents to file their applications for e-services and also to receive results in the electronic form. Indeed, the project is rather old. There is an existing version of it. It's clear that technically and also by interface and visualization is not up to the requirements that nowadays users have. Therefore, our objective is to make it as useful as possible and the one which can be integrated with other services. It will be integrated with identification system, with payment services, also for the services that are subject to administrative fee, as the users will not have to go for another portal in order to pay, upload the receipt. That will create inconvenience. They will do all of it on a single portal. Also, it's convenient for the residents and also visually efficiency of processing of all their requests. Thousands of them come over months, and this should not create additional workload and lower the efficiency of the activity of the employees of the city hall. We have implemented the system of electronic filing, and also statements, applications of citizens will be processed on the side of document filing. Also, in the electronic form, the residents will receive them on the portal, the resulting service on the portal. This is one of our main objectives, which is coming closer to completion. We shall test the beta version of it very soon, and we shall be able very soon after testing to launch as a fully fledged service. That's it. If you have any questions, you are welcome. I have a question for clarification. You mentioned about the need for regional services, more cooperation between the municipalities and the regions. It's obvious to me. I remembered about one thing in Ukraine of the completed stage of decentralization, reform, creating concentrated territorial communities, amalgamated communities, and local councils, local governments within the decentralization budgets have a greater capacity and greater independence. That correlation between strengthening of capacity of communities and municipalities and the role of the government, as we can have here from Mr. Vadim, in addition for being the trend, the setter, and having the young team which is coming implementing their ideas. It's also responsible for the legal framework of the cities. And for the cities and communities, there are quite many small and medium cities around the Lviv city, smaller municipalities. Maybe we should do economic exploration for local residents and businesses. There are advantages for businesses from development of digital services. You mentioned convenience for the residents, but what will happen to if we speak of creating, if Lviv has successful cases of advantages for the businesses as well? Speaking about providing electronic services, speaking of the residents I also mean business as well, because City Hall as a local government is providing part of its services for corporations as well. And accordingly, they can also use all the services. Certain services, speaking about registration of business, this is a responsibility of the Ministry of Justice or central government. However, when we speak of services, this is not just for the residents, it's also for corporations. When we speak of decentralization and the capabilities we have obtained, including financial ones, would increase our capabilities to introduce particular services. Yet, this is a sphere of development which is quite expensive. Having more resources in the local budget, we can develop the sphere of e-governance, electronic transformation, including smart city. Mainly those are costs of the budget. I mean, creating all that would mean the cost of the budget. And there is certain correlation between the decentralization reform and the regional digital transformation.